was a weird start.
You said you were gonna do something weird to
I
start.
know, but
like
I wasn't serious.
Out.
I chickened out, and I made it so much worse.
Hey!
Hey!
Wow. Man, we haven't done this in a while.
Too much time off. It's just too much time off. You take too much time off, and then you come back, and then you're an absolute mess. Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We're still adjusting ourselves
I was
here.
about to salute. Why should I? What is wrong?
I don't know what's happening.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Be like, Happy Tuesday.
Well, thank God the audio is good, at least.
So you could hear how stupid we sound right now.
Hey, Tim, what's up? Thanks for checking in, man.
So good to see you,
It's
dude.
actually been a hot minute since Tim's been on one of these. We appreciate you showing up.
Hope you've been having a good summer.
All right. We will try to rein ourselves in. This is our last live stream before the spooky season hiatus that we take every year, where between September and October, I am so busy in edit mode that I have no time to prepare slides or any kind of narrative substance for a live stream. So we usually take those 2 months off. I am wearing my boo shirt to effectively transition us into the fall season and all of the spooks.
Scoot over. I feel like this live is like right on my head.
I don't know why. It feels like our camera is...
I'm fine now. I needed it to like... I was like this. Oh, wait. I was like this. No, I'm good.
I don't know.
We're fine.
Tim is not wrong. It has been a minute and a lot has happened since the last time. I think our last live stream would have been like a Oregon trip report?
Yeah.
Should have been.
Yep.
And we were actually meant to have one more before we took our hiatus, but those of you who follow us on Instagram might know that we had an adverse reaction to some celebrity deaths that were going to make it very difficult to focus on what we had to talk about. So we decided to just postpone a little bit.
Now you're making it worse.
I'm going to constantly be adjusting the screen as we go. Hi, Karina. Hopefully our internet is a little bit more reliable this time too, because I feel like we had some sort of outage towards the end of the last stream. But so far so good, I think. If anyone catches any blurring or anything that's happening in real time or after the fact, probably will know by then. But if you're watching from across the world, as I know some of our live stream viewers do on the replay, let us know if there's any major issues that we need to work on or fix, because we have a little bit of downtime to do it between now and the next stream. Before we move forward, I do just want to say that those of us in the theme park space were obviously more affected, more impacted, perhaps, by the loss of Dolly Parton, but that doesn't mean that the whole world wasn't.
I think the whole world is still very upset. So it was that, and
Hayden Panettiere
was
Tim
a few
Curry.
Days, like the weekend right before.
It's just been a tough.
It was a tough week.
Period. I know that, like, you know, we don't know these people. Like, we're not friends with these celebrities. We haven't, like, been a part of their lives. We have no right to feel a devastating loss to the extent that we do. But it's just been hard. Like, it's just been a hard couple of weeks. And anyone out there who's feeling the same way we are and struggling with it a little bit, just know you're not alone. That was the main point of the message here, is just to let you know that, like, it's okay to be sad.
Yeah. And we were too sad to do the live stream last week.
We were too sad to do the live stream last week. So we pushed it a little bit. But this is going to be the last one for a while. Peter Cullen,
Oh,
not wrong. Yeah.
That was another,
It's just been hit after hit after hit. Yeah.
You're totally right.
Eeyore and Optimus Prime, most notably, for those who don't know who Peter Cullen is. But a lot of us do. All right. With the sadness having been kind of addressed, we do want to actually talk about something here tonight. And it's something that I thought kind of tied in with the spooky season a little bit, because one of the things that a lot of spooky enthusiasts have been really excited about is a recent announcement from overseas, which has made its way into the mainstream American audience that you don't usually see major theme park announcements make it into. It's primarily for the spooky people. So as we head into another busy spooky season in 2026, we do want to touch on some of the things that are important to the spooky audience as well as to the theme park audience, and kind of build that perfect transition. It is September 1st, so happy official start of spooky season to everyone out there who celebrates. If you don't celebrate, I'm so sorry. You're just not going to enjoy our content for the next several months.
But maybe you enjoy fall vibes.
But
and
fall,
I love that for you.
There's plans to continue spooky for a little bit past the traditional end of the spooky season, but then there's also some kind of gentler, less haunty stuff happening this fall as well. We are going to be taking a trip, which will not be formally announced until we're on it. And we also have a couple of post-season plans that will carry on into those spooky vibes. So, all of this to say, we're going to be pretty busy over the next couple of months, and we want to make the most of our time here tonight, because it might be the last time we have a chance to, like, chat with you all beforehand.
Absolutely.
Before we get started, socials, Tim and Katie on Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky. If you're watching this now, you are pretty much exclusively watching it on YouTube unless someone has sent you the video, in which case they either love you or hate you. Please subscribe. The real Tim and Katie on Instagram and Threads. Instagram is probably our second most frequented platform, and it's where we've been posting a lot of short form content recently. That content might vary widely between the spooky, the travel-y, the touristy, the theme parky. It's all the things that we enjoy, and you're just along for the ride. So if you're interested in following us more so than the specific places we visit, you'll love following us on Instagram and Threads. If you're mostly interested in the context of wherever we're visiting, the haunts, the theme parks, what have you, you'll probably prefer our YouTube content more. So there's something for everyone out there. timandkatie.net is our website. It's primarily just companion pieces, opinion pieces, occasionally a little news bump, but for the most part, if you're following us, you're going to want to be following on Instagram and YouTube. Now, as we head into this spooky season of spooky seasons, spookiest I should have said. I am just so out of practice, you guys.
Seasons.
This is going to be a mess. I am so
I can't
sorry.
wait to
I am
watch this
so
back.
I'm so sorry. We are heading into a busy spooky season, and one of the things that our friends in the spooky community have been talking about a lot lately is this brand new theme park
That was announced.
which has been announced, emphasis on announced, for Romania of all places. This is going to be, for now, the working title is Dracula Land.
I mean, Romania
It is
being where Dracula Land isn't surprising.
No.
But Romania, I guess,
But Romania
building
building a theme park on
is-
this scale is a little bit
is a little bit
surprising.
surprising.
And we have some reservations, but we'll get into it because that's kind of the whole basis of this live stream. So, Dracula Land, as forecasted, will be Dracula themed, obviously. You've got the castle. This is all computer-generated concept art, so none of this has actually been built yet. The Dracula shopping district, the Transylvanian market, the castles. If you've been to Universal's Epic Universe, you probably have kind of an idea of how this is going to come together thematically, if it happens. So they also released all of this concept art in addition to the concept art for the Dracula-themed areas. They want to add this giant roller coaster, this huge Dubai-esque shopping center, the Ferris wheel, a lake with a water show. There's a lot of moving pieces to this project, and it's a big, big undertaking. As Tim said, it will be spooky-tacular. So if this happens, it will be a huge financial undertaking. It will also require a significant amount of construction.
Yes.
As of now, and hold on to this information because it's very important to the story we have to tell this evening, none of this has actually moved. This is supposed to open in 2027, undisclosed opening date. And as of now, we're still in concept phase. Now, all of this looks cool. All of this looks really awesome. And if it comes to fruition, you can bet we will be some of the first boots on the ground over there. We will try to make it for opening. We will be purchasing our very first plane tickets to Romania to check this out for sure. But a lot of what's been shared with us, and it has been shared with us often because we get a lot of messages and a lot of shares about this development saying, did you know about this? If you're in the theme park community, you know about these things pretty quickly. If you're in the spooky community, you might be learning about it because of the Dracula Association. Everyone's very excited. The reason we have some reservations is because
We've seen this before.
we've seen this before. We have been through this cycle a couple of times. And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, it doesn't actually make it to the construction phase.
Manifest.
It does not manifest. It does not come to fruition.
Yeah.
Karina wants to say hi.
Thank you for calling me out specifically.
Yes. Okay. So tonight we're going to be talking about the parks that never were. And by that we mean the parks that did not manifest as originally forecasted or planned. There's varying levels of not manifesting as originally planned. I was trying to find a shorter way to say.
You have the partial manifestation, you have the zero manifestation, and you have the did not manifest as originally planned, I guess. Sometimes that land became something different, I guess, than it was proposed. So, I guess we're just gonna go walk through them.
Before we jump into this, I do want to also say that we are not experts in this field. We love theme parks, we love haunts, we love horror, we love spooky, we love all the things that Dracula Land purports to be. But when it comes to theme park history, there are far more qualified sources than us. So take everything that we're saying with a grain of salt. Some of this we have lived through, some of this we have seen with our own eyes. Others we have heard about or researched or looked into, but might not even be pronouncing correctly, because a lot of the parks that we're going to be talking about were parks that were supposed to manifest a certain way overseas, where language is a little more complicated for English speakers. So forgive us in advance for any mispronunciations or misinformation. We are doing our best to inform you guys of what we're aware of, but there might be the occasional oopsie. Melina also says hi.
To me, not to you.
Yes, only to Katie. Let me start this whole thing with one that we were very closely monitoring. So this one we're absolutely certain of exactly what happened and exactly how to pronounce everything involved.
Yeah.
Enter American Heartland. Now, this park was originally going to be put together by former Disney Imagineers who thought they could do better independently, free of the shackles of Disney leadership, however you choose to interpret that.
Which would have been really cool to see.
Honestly, like, the concept art was all, for the most part, it looked like the concept art had been thought through. They knew exactly how they were going to approach this. They knew what was possible. They knew how to make this happen. But knowing how to make it happen and making it happen, two very, very different things. We know a lot of people in the haunt industry who know how to build a haunt, who know how to start a haunt, who know how to manage a haunt, but don't know where to get the ball rolling to make all those things happen.
Or maybe just don't have the
resources. Yes, exactly. So the American Heartland was meant to be in the middle of rural America, hence American Heartland. It was going to be a resort. It was going to be a theme park. It was going to, I think, be a campground.
You have a campground, water park, multiple hotels, like a whole, I mean, it sounds like it was meant to be like a whole resort.
It was themed, kind of, so this was going to be in Oklahoma, which, first of all, is the audience there. I think they would have been, I'm sure that was considered in the initial considerations. We do have places like Lost Island Theme Park in Iowa that have been kind of struggling along because they bought cheap land that was easy to build on, but the audience for that park has to move mountains to get there, and that has hurt them in the long run. American Heartland, I think, would have struggled with the same thing, although I think they were building close enough, or the planned construction site was close enough to some of the city environments that they would have at least had a better chance of getting an initial patch of foot traffic. Yeah, locals would have been all about this. And I think Disney people would have been all about this as well, because a lot of what was being done here, as we said, was being done by former Imagineers.
I would have really liked to have seen Imagineers set free from IP.
Yeah.
Because whether you like it or not, and we're not going to get into it right now, Disney is living for their IP right now, not for so much for original concepts. So it would have been cool to see the Imagineers take their skills and creativity into something that, you know, a character that's recognizable didn't have any claws in, so to speak. So that would have been cool.
Hi, Melina. I think that a lot of what was being developed here was really cool and probably quite feasible, but you can't build a Disney park on anything less than Disney budget.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to pull together the finances for this particular project. Now, this one did break ground. They did actually go out to the site, they bought the land, they took a shovel, and they started digging. I don't believe it ever made it past that ceremonial first groundbreaking. It was actually fairly recently, and we do have notes here because we knew we were going to forget everything.
You said it was announced in 2023.
Announced in 2023. So we had started following, they set up like an Instagram account, we started following those pages. We really wanted to see this thing to come to fruition, but the first seeds of doubt started flowing when nothing happened after the groundbreaking. About 3 or 4 weeks after they broke ground, and we had heard absolutely nothing about any further development on this property. Unfortunately, and it was fairly recently that this was formally announced as having been killed
Shelved,
off. Finances pretty much did it in.
Lack of enough investors, other financing problems, and then you have a note here that says the primary investor.
And I had to do some digging to get to that. So this in the theme park forums, as we sometimes visit, we don't live there, but we like to visit sometimes.
In our many travels
there was
to the theme park forums,
to the video store and comic convention. There was discussions about the litigation that was ongoing because contractors were supposedly hired but never paid, and at some point, those contractors took the case back to the owners and the founders of the American Heartland project and made all of this information public, because when you file a court case, you have to more or less make that information publicly discoverable. At that point, the rest of the community became aware that they have no money, they are not going to be able to pursue this project, and even if they had that money to begin with, the lawsuit against them would have drained those resources to the point where the park itself was unsustainable. So the American Heartland, 3 years later, is dead. And the only thing that was ever moved was one shovelful of dirt. Yeah. Now that land still sits out there and someone could still make something of it, but the way that I think it is most likely to go, knowing that such a huge amount of property was allocated for a theme park and an entertainment complex, campground, I can see hotels going there. I don't see another park going there. I think they're going to redevelop that land for apartments and shopping centers.
Yeah, I was going to say hotels without a destination to go to, though. So, yeah, I can see it being less impressive retail apartments,
It's sad, really but it happens. And this is one of the most palpable, most recent examples of this happening. But we have more.
But there's more.
This is a very famous one. So Disney's America. Not all of you may be aware, some of you, even if you're Disney people, may not be aware that Disney at one point did have plans for a Virginian theme park. They were going to plop it down more or less in the same general area as Colonial Williamsburg. Where Colonial Williamsburg now stands, there were plans for Disney America, and it might not be exactly the same spot, so don't quote me. But like,
it's not. Okay, it's not.
You might know more about this than I do, so feel free to interject. But like,
apparently, it was close-ish enough to the site of Manassas Battlefield, which, if anyone is familiar with Virginia, that is hours away from Williamsburg. But I think what you're trying to get at is it's a kind of
thematically it was a direct competitor for that business model.
It was meant to be historical and America and things like that. So maybe a few hours away from Williamsburg, but that same vibe, I guess, of Williamsburg, but with more rides.
Also thinking...
Wouldn't Williamsburg be more rides? There's a whole theme park there. What am I talking about?
I mean, Busch Gardens is its own thing, and it doesn't really rely on American history so much as European history.
Yeah, it's a little...
Colonial Williamsburg, and the reason I was thinking along this thought path, is because what Disney was proposing had a lot of similarities to what now stands as Colonial Williamsburg. You walk through, you get a little dose of history, you get to see and experience some of how life was lived back in those days. Not all of it, for some obvious historical reasons.
Yeah, but some of these topics...
Let's look at concept art.
Yeah, some of these topics that they wanted to cover, I mean, that just looks pleasant.
This looks, yes, from high above, and concept art is pretty easy to find for Disney's America because it was pretty well discussed.
We're talking, this was announced in 1993.
Yes,
so,
this is a very old project that died very early.
Yeah.
Like,
I was...
While we were still very young.
I was a a little baby.
So this, to me, screams colonial Williamsburg as we experienced it not that long ago when we visited. Like
in
this,
terms of the buildings.
it's meant to be. If you've been to Frontierland at Disney World or Disneyland,
well, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's more of a Frontierland.
It's developed Frontierland.
But it says like the topics would have been like Civil War era, industrialization, Native American history, and other chapters. I just wonder, like, as I guess, like, it's a bummer it never came to. It would have been cool to have a Disney level theme park so much closer to us and up, but I still wonder if it wouldn't, if they would have done the history right. Well, and maybe I'll just leave it at that.
I'll take it one sentence further, and that's as far as I'll get into this topic. But my thinking is that in the current geopolitical environment that we find ourselves, Disney would have had a really hard time keeping this theme park afloat.
Yeah.
They would have been caught between a rock and a hard place.
Like, there's probably a way to do this right and respectfully. I don't know if we would have done that in 1993 is what I'm saying.
I also don't think we would have done it especially well today.
No,
realistically.
maybe not.
There are parts of our history as a country that we're very aware are not glamorous.
Yeah.
And to make a theme park out of... This is part of the problem, right? When they looked at how to do this, they were looking at the narratives they were going to tell. They were looking at the stories they were going to tell, and they were like, Now, Walt was around for the initial concept of this, but he did not survive into the development of the actual concept art and the plans.
Yeah, I guess they would have.
This was something. This was something that they knew he was thinking about, and that's why it moved forward into the stages that it did, but it didn't actually make it to. I mean, it didn't even make it to break ground.
I mean, well, Disney did seem to have a fascination with American history. He liked Abraham Lincoln.
Very targeted fan base.
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to build in Virginia, you got to know Virginia.
I can see him being behind this as a concept. But yeah, there is part of me that's like, I wonder how much of it's original. And also, like, how long would this have taken for IP to take over? Disney would have been all over it.
Eventually.
I can imagine that
modern Disney, as you said, is very obsessed with IP, so they'll wind up.
Yeah.
Corrupt is a strong word, but I would say diluting at the least, polluting at the most, the original vision for any given attraction in any given theme park. Eventually, IP will take over.
Yeah.
That is just the kind of the direction that we're heading with Disney as a company.
Yeah.
So, not ultimately a financially viable investment on Disney's part, and that's not even why the whole thing fell apart. Around the same time that they were talking about building Disney's America, they were also building what would eventually become Disneyland Paris. At the time, it was known as Euro Disney, and there was a lot of controversy as to whether or not Disney would be welcome in Europe. Initially, the backlash was quite substantial. Europeans did not want Disney there, and the financial toll on Disney as a company, when they opened the gates on this risky business maneuver, it was not sustainable to then go and build another park anywhere.
And then
so it would take years before Disney would start opening additional gates, and Disney's America was one of the first dominoes to fall in that direction.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, would we be like meeting like Ben Franklin? I mean, that'd be kind of cool.
I mean, that's what they have in Colonial Williamsburg. That's why I'm in that headspace whenever I talk about Disney's America. I'm like, you can go and you can talk to the colonials who live in this fantasy village that was never touched by time, and you can talk to them about their daily life. I mean, it's interesting what they will and won't answer, but but they're there.
But it's funny because like Disney trains and Universal, but Disney really trains their characters to know like everything about their lives. So my question is, if someone goes up to, you know, Thomas Jefferson and asks him a question that might be a little bit sensitive, are they allowed to answer it? Anyway, I'm all up in my head about this. I agree. It would have been. I think it would have been cool to see.
I don't see that park doing super well in 2026.
I just don't know if it would have survived.
I don't see. Well, either the brand takes a hit or the park takes a hit.
I think
we're all glad that the park didn't. Manifest.
Bringing it back to, you know, Miss Dolly. You know, she bought Dollywood as what it was called, like rebel something. It was like a very it was
I'll
a
look it up.
Confederate.
I'm sure
kind
there's
of
going to be plenty of
base
misinformation in
theme
this
park.
live stream, but like I don't want to lie about
I'm
Dolly.
pretty sure she bought the theme park and rebranded it Dollywood.
What was Dollywood called? It goes up to Paul Revere. Can I take a selfie with you?
Yes, I love that.
3 different names.
I swear it was called something different.
None of those names listed because AI sucks.
Anyway, someone feel free to correct me. Dolly did not build Dollywood from scratch. There was already some sort of park there, and she bought it in the 80s, I believe. So.
Park opened.
Rebel Railroad. Yeah.
Okay.
I was right about Rebel. So.
That was when it was just a train, though. That
Okay.
was way back when.
Okay, so maybe the property had a different
No.
hospital.
And Dolly
had a
still
different
operated
theme.
Dollywood through Hershend Entertainment as well.
Yeah.
So it was not an independent entity for as long as we in our head canon like to believe that it was.
Yeah.
It's just that Dolly was so intimately involved with the development that
Yeah.
we associated that one
yeah.
park with everything that she did.
No, and by all means, I absolutely am glad that she purchased the land and turned it into what it
Dollywood
was.
is beautiful.
It's awesome. If they could capture like the spirit of Dollywood into what American Heartland, that would have been cool. But
Now,
anyway.
There's one
It's-
upcoming here
did.
that we are not as intimately familiar with, and that in fact, until we started talking about how to go through this live stream, we didn't even know about. At least I didn't. I don't know if you knew about it.
No, I never heard of this one.
So it's not going to be surprising, I don't
can't
think, though.
say
Despite the fact that nobody knew about it, no one's going to be surprised.
I can't say I was following theme park news with bated breath in 2007.
So Universal Studios Dubai Land. And there is a Disney park allegedly coming to Dubai, which is its own hotbed of controversy. I think Universal kind of dodged that bullet by ultimately having this project cave. But what it was purported to be was essentially the same thing that they're ultimately going to wind up doing in Great Britain. It's a smaller but imaginative and creative use of space in the Universal way. A lot of attractions are carried over from Universal Park to Universal Park.
I was gonna
with a
say
couple
it
things
sounds
being unique.
like studios, like lands themed to Hollywood, New York,
Yep.
various Universal properties.
And I have some
Oh
concept
yeah,
art
that
of
looks very much like studios.
This is, yes, it would have been the Studios Park with a few carve-outs for things like you just mentioned, Jurassic Park. All of the IPs that Universal Parks are most known for, they always carry those over into the new parks wherever they may be. I mean, Minions even made it to the little kiddie park in Texas, even though the theming in that park is arguably a little lacking. They make sure that anything that they have the IP license to that is popular with families in particular will find its way to whatever Universal Park you're visiting. So this did break ground in July 2008 after being announced 1 year prior. $2.2 billion invested. This park was going to have 4 coasters and themed lands, Hollywood, New York, various Universal areas. Unfortunately, some of you may or may not know, 2008 was
kind of a bad
a
year.
rough year. It was a rough year for American-owned park chains. So
A rough year for anyone who needed money.
Yes, but we were young enough that we didn't feel the brunt of it.
Yes.
We were very privileged in our youth, where
Some of you may not have even been
2008
born yet.
might have been a rough year for a lot of people that we are not able to relate to because we were insulated from a lot of that.
There was a big financial crisis. It caused, there was a big stock market crash, housing crash. A lot of people lost work, lost money, and it affected everyone from working class people to big, shiny businesses.
COVID was bad for finances. 2008, arguably worse. The dollar was worth less in 2008 than it was in 2020. So at the end of the day, Universal had to scrap this project even after initially beginning a small amount of construction because it was just going to wind up being too costly.
Yeah. And you said they actually built an entrance arch? Wow.
They did, but
And then
we didn't get to see
8
it.
years.
There's no photos
Yeah.
of it that I could find.
I mean, it probably is dismantled.
They
by
talked
now.
about building like a Men in Black. They talked about doing
That's
Jurassic
a cool
Park.
facade.
I know.
For
I
a
think
Men
that's.
in Black
I think it's
ride.
way cooler
That's
than the one
sick.
at Universal Studios.
That's really
Classic.
cool. I mean, especially if it like smoked like that every few minutes or all the time.
But you see little elements of like, I mean, Ben's Pizza. You've got the what's it called in Universal Studios Orlando that everyone loves. Where's the pizza place? Is it? It's not Ben's Pizza, is it?
Mm-mm.
No, I can't remember what it is.
I-
Someone dropped the name of the
I
pizza place
literally
that
have
everyone
no
loves
idea.
at Universal in the chat
It's
because
like
I do not
Carlos
remember.
or something.
It's too hot, and milk was a bad choice.
It's too
Anyway, this one did not come to fruition either. And Universal and Disney are two of the biggest brands in the industry. So they have the money. If they have trouble building parks in select areas or bringing concept art to fruition after having been announced as Blue Sky Concepts, imagine how complicated it's going to be for an independent effort from places that don't have necessarily the financial resources that Disney and Universal do from all of
or
their
the reputation.
or their reputation. Yeah, brand names go a long way. It's going to be a tough uphill road for a lot of parks, especially in the wake of everything that's happening to the American dollar right now. But back then, 2008 was one of the roughest times you could possibly try to build a theme park, and a lot of them failed. Internationally, this is one that everyone has kind of heard about in passing.
Yeah, this one has like
You kind of recollect it
lore.
when I told you about it, but like you didn't actually know. Like
I didn't remember its name, but I've definitely heard of this one and seen the
I'll just show you the one coolest picture of all time
this
ever.
haunting image.
So
a half-built
Wonderland
castle.
Amusement Park in Beijing, China. China is a really great theme park land. They do a lot of really amazing work, really great theming. Honestly, outside of the continental United States, pretty much every park does theming a little bit better than we do, with providing exception for Universal and Disney, where theming is their entire brand. Outside of the US, theming seems to be a much more revered element
I
of any
think we're
given
just
park.
so used to less that
Well,
we don't notice.
People have, for the longest time, paid more to get less,
Yeah.
and theme park giants in this area, they know this,
Yeah.
and they will take advantage of it. In China, theming is a much more regular piece or component of any given park build. So Wonderland, which was billed as an amusement park, but as you can see, theming elements were already going into place, was going to be the largest park in Asia. At one time, 1998, so around the same time as Disney's America, they were developing this. This skeletal fairy tale castle that you see here, a picture of this was taken, gosh, I'm trying to think of timelines because I don't have this information written down. This is no longer there. The castle has been torn down.
But it was demolished by 2013, so this picture had to be
Somewhere
taken somewhere in
between-
the mid-2000s,
Somewhere
I guess.
between 1998 and 2013, someone visited this site and took pictures of the pieces that were left behind. This project basically stalled out because of farmland disputes and compensation for the land that had been bought.
Yeah.
So, not so much a financial issue in terms of resources, more so a financial issue in terms of who owned those resources.
Yeah.
And that is, I don't know that debate was ever resolved. I think that
Yeah.
the wheels just came off, and this place that had already started construction, had already come pretty far along, just spiraled out, and this was all that was left.
Yeah. It's, again, very haunting.
There were a lot of really cool pictures from this half-built park that people went to, and very illegal to sneak in and take pictures of a half-finished park, but that's
Yeah.
what people did,
Well,
and
Tim
the pictures came out really
saying
good.
that there's some pieces in the National Roller Coaster Museum,
Yep.
so that's pretty cool.
Yep, it wasn't just the castle. I think the castle was the most iconic piece of half-finished construction.
Yeah, some other pieces of it were built, but obviously never opened.
No rain here yet, but I think it's coming.
Oh, maybe
Yes.
wrong Wonderland.
Oh,
Well, we
different
don't know.
Wonderland.
I would agree that Wonderland is not a...
Wonderland's a very broad term.
Yeah.
There is another Wonderland in China at this point. There wasn't at the time that they were building this one, and they are in no way related. It's a much smaller park. I think it's mostly indoors, unless I'm thinking of the wrong place. But it is a place that I would like to go someday. There's a lot of parks in China that I would like to visit, honestly, because, as I said, they're very good at theming. Oh, man, I just adjusted the frame, and then I realized I hated it.
Goofed.
It's either too much or too little.
Too much or not enough.
Let's talk about EarthQuest.
I hadn't heard of this one either.
I hadn't either, but looking at it and looking it up, it seemed like it could have been something special. So we've been building a lot in Texas recently, but back in the day, there were not a whole lot of Texas-based theme parks, especially independent of IP.
Is that like a whole... Is that a coaster?
This is basically Texas's version of Disney Sea. Like, this was going to be a very expansive, very cool, very well thought out, and highly themed park that was all about environment. The environment, for lack of better grammar, but I was trying to say environmental concerns or preservation. Like looking at the world from through a different lens and teaching kids about why it's important to preserve the environment.
Huh.
Now, there were a few problems with this plan. The first being that where they were trying to build is very hot, and it would have been very difficult to keep it as lush as pictured here. Not impossible, but would have required a lot of ongoing upkeep and an extensive amount of water. The real reason that this one fell apart, allegedly, is because bankruptcy effectively ate through the entire project budget. Everything that was concepted never even broke ground. So although it was announced it was going to be so cool, honestly, like just the concept art that I could find. It sounds
cool. It's like volcanoes, glaciers, dinosaurs, 50 rides. That's 50 rides is a lot.
50 rides is a lot. It's not as many as you might think, because a lot of the parks that we visit most regularly have more than 50 attractions, and we just don't think of like this statue that shoots water as being an attraction. But like,
yeah, I mean, it says 50 rides. I wouldn't consider a show to be a ride.
I only pulled 3 pieces of concept art, but I found a lot. Like they had like
biofuels.
Yeah, everything was going to be environmentally themed. So it was going to be like dinosaurs and how they broke down and became fossil fuels, and how, you know, you're racing now on a racetrack that was built on the backs of dinosaurs. I'm not sure I'm connecting the narrative the way they would have had me do it. But
I think that doesn't... I mean, that does sound environmental, but it doesn't sound like preserving environmental.
Are you talking about the 50 rides, Tim? Because that's what I was thinking too, is that Hershey has about the same number of attractions.
I mean, that feels... But it doesn't feel like a small park.
No, it wasn't going to be a small park. We're talking 200 acres.
Yeah, I mean, I think Disneyland California itself has like 50-something rides, and DCA has less.
It was, quote, heavily promoted in the late 2000s, including billboards and projected opening dates, but never came to fruition.
Bummer.
So unfortunately, that was one of the most devastating losses of our lifetime, it looks like. There is one more that I was really excited for that I'll talk about towards the end, that I think we were probably the most emotionally attached to.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now,
I think that one we're going to talk about later is the reason... Well, I digress. Continue.
Save the punchline.
Yep.
I'm guessing that the theme park enthusiasts among us are already predictive of the punchline that we have in mind, but...
Yeah.
Now, this is not Paramount Park Murica. Which is how I read it several times.
Me too. I thought you had
like
spelled
Captain
it
Murica.
Wrong. I was like,
No.
Mercia.
Mercia or Murcia. I don't know which one, but not Murica.
I think it's Murcia. I don't know. It's Spanish.
It's in Spain.
I'm gonna say Murcia until otherwise corrected.
Paramount Park Murcia. I'll go with yours. Announced around 2010 as a major movie-themed destination featuring all of Paramount's properties. This was repeatedly presented as an impending European blockbuster. if you're familiar with Port Aventura World, this would have been very similar in terms of the IPs that they licensed and the worlds that they built. However, although land was purchased and a cornerstone ceremony was held, I don't know how they define cornerstone. I assume that they broke ground ceremoniously the same way that they did for a lot of these parks. Financing, planning, and legal problems prevented actual vertical construction. A court ruling affecting protected land then put the final padlock on this dream.
I can't be mad if there's some reason the land should be protected. But I would have been cool to have a Star Trek land or something.
Well, we have a Star Trek area of Movie Park Germany. Yeah. So if that's all we ever get, and we did have the Star Trek experience in Vegas that nobody went to, and I'm so angry about all of that. But this land was set to be a novel effort. It was going to be half IP, it was going to be half independent and imaginative, the same way that Universal and Disney at one time were. Now, as you said, the fact that this land was protected puts a little bit of a blemish on the original plan. If we had thought about that ahead of time, maybe we wouldn't have tried to break ground there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know enough about this place.
Sorry, not we.
Yeah.
The royal we.
No. Like we, as in the two of us, don't know enough
about
this
If I had the money to build a theme park, you can bet I'd do it a different way.
To know why the land was protected, or whether it should have been, if it was an environmental thing, if it was a historical protection kind of thing. I mean, who knows?
In an alternate timeline where finances, legal obligations, and many other different variables progress very differently, and Paramount Mercia was built, I still see them having financial troubles today. For a couple of different reasons. Number one being the United States is not the most favorably viewed right now overseas, and Paramount is one of the companies that raising some eyebrows at the moment. So I can see people voting with their wallets in that regard.
I mean, yeah, that could easily happen. And like different IPs fell out of style as well. Or I don't know.
Disney's constantly building new IP. I'm not sure that IPs would have been such a huge issue, but I will say that Paramount has significantly less of them than Disney and Universal have access to. So you can only do so much with what you have.
And sometimes Paramount, like sometimes these studios have like shared IPs with other studios and things like that, and if that relationship doesn't continue to be fruitful, certain things can get pulled back and whatnot. So I don't know. Obviously wasn't meant to be.
For those counting, we now have, let's see.
How many did we talk about so far? 4?
That was the 6th.
Oh, that was 6.
However, I was going a different direction with my statement.
My bad.
American Heartland, Dubai Land, Wonderland, and
are you talking about different countries?
No, groundbreaking.
Ah.
So 4 parks so far of the 6 that actually moved into the moving dirt phase of construction.
Or at least ceremonial dirt.
Yeah, well, if you move a shovel of dirt, you have moved a shovel of dirt. Work has technically been done. But until you actually start manifesting attractions and building gates and infrastructure...
like vertical,
yes.
Vertical build.
Vertical never actually happened for most of these parks, and 2 of them never even broke ground. Yeah. Let's talk about Port Disney. So, many of you in the theme park community especially will know that there is a sort of Port Disney currently. Port Disney, as you see it here, was planned to be at that time I think 2nd gate, but ultimately would have been a 3rd gate for Disneyland. It would have been far away from Disneyland, but still in California where they were doing the most business.
Yeah, Long Beach.
Long Beach. So this ultimately did not come to fruition because of a number of different things. The most prominent, of course, being money. Rising costs, environmental issues, and political complications as California was responding to Disney's rapid expansion ultimately caused this thing to fall through around 1991. But those of you who are familiar with the existing lineup of Disney parks may see some similarities between what you see here in the concept art for Port Disney and what eventually became Tokyo Disney Sea.
Yeah, this park was supposed to be possibly called Disney Sea.
It was one of the considered
one
names.
of the titles, so that name went to Tokyo.
So there is something to be said for that too. Even if a park doesn't come to fruition the way it's originally pitched, planned, or announced, sometimes pieces of it, or even, we'll say a generous 75 to 80% of it, can manifest in a different form. Which is to say that of these 6 we've talked about so far, they all died. They're dead. They're not coming back. This one did actually go on to be something else.
Yep.
And there is something to be said for that too. Similarly, Westcott, which many of our Disney fans will have heard of, but many of the laymen might never have even thought of and probably sounds silly to them. This is going to look very familiar to all of you because this ultimately became Disney California Adventure.
Yep.
Arguably one of Disney's best parks. Back in the day, we were looking at how to bring Epcot to California because Epcot being a very popular park in Walt Disney World, California had no answer for that. So the second gate at Disneyland, which is now literally right across the Esplanade, it's like I'm talking like a 5-minute walk from one gate to the other. It's awesome. It's nothing like Disney World, and everyone should go to Disneyland. Disney California Adventure took a lot of the core concepts from Westcott as originally proposed and developed them into new attractions that were more California-centric. Now, ultimately, Disney California Adventure lost a lot of its California-specific theming and moved, as we've been saying, more into the IPs. But there's some of these kind of foundational elements still there. The Ferris wheel doesn't have the sun anymore, but it's there. The orange is not there as originally pitched, but the wave swinger behind the orange is actually there.
And the white roller coaster, which was California Screaming.
California Screaming is now the Incredicoaster. Yep.
Is there.
This is very much the bones of the original concept built into something new, and then something new after that.
Yeah.
So once again,
that was announced in '91. It was definitely canceled in '95, but Disney California Adventure opened in the '90s. Didn't it open in late '90s or like maybe early 2000s? I'm trying to remember.
I feel like that would be in direct conflict with the information we have in front of us. But let me look.
When did DCA open?
Please hold.
Siri.
We like to not lie to you.
When Disney... I would help if I could type. You're going to have to type. When did Disney California Adventure open?
The problem is that I always have to hit -AI at the end of my web searches now, which adds a whole extra.
I'm just trying to think, like, if they shelved this by '95, how long did it take them to launch DCA?
Disney California Adventure opened in 2001.
Okay, so
that
6
was about
years.
6 years. So the original plans
was
for Westcott became Disney California Adventure by 2001, and then after that, years after that, it became more IP focused. It's still Disney California Adventure to this day, but it's not as Californian as it originally opened.
So this is the first one we've talked about where eventually there was a theme park on that site. It just wasn't the one that was announced first.
Yes.
So that's positive.
And this all feeds into our final analysis
Yes.
on what we initially opened with, by the way.
Yeah.
So there's reason in the madness here.
Also, Mickey's Death Wheel is the appropriate terminology for the Ferris wheel that is in that area.
We
of
do have a
DCA.
video of our first time riding Mickey's Death Wheel, which is more colloquially known as Mickey's Pal Around Wheel. There's no palling to be done on that.
You can have a normal time
you can have
on
a normal time, or you can
on
have
the
a
pal
terrifying
around.
time.
You can. All right. So maybe there's the pal around, and then there's the death wheel, and they're both the same thing. Like you can choose your adventure. You can choose death, or you can choose pal around. Yeah. Anyway, it's a swinging Ferris wheel. It's not the only one in existence, but it's the only one I've ever been on, and might be the only one I ever do, because crazy.
It is quite a time. Cars Land was... I think Cars Land was built significantly out.
Yeah,
Like, Cars Land was an addition that replaced a Bugs...
Cars...
Well, no, Avengers Campus replaced a Bugs Land. What did Cars Land replace?
Came
Maybe it was all
about
one.
because Cars didn't even come out until like 2006 or something. So
I think Tim's talking more about the theming of it, though, like the rock work and
yeah,
whatnot.
I will say it does fit in with California theming pretty well, or at least West Coasty kind of theming because it's all like Route 66 and.
Did not know, but that makes perfect sense. Intiman's always sneaking those little thrills on us.
That's a fun fact, Tim. Thanks for sharing.
So, just to wrap up before we move on, Disney California Adventure Park, as it stands now, which is so many times modified from where it started, is an amazing park, and I think that everyone should go there at some point in their lifetime. There are things that I would change. There are things that a lot of people feel were better in the original iteration, but remember that the original iteration was Westcott. So Disney is constantly changing and evolving and workshopping. And given the financial crises that it fell into after Euro Disney before it became Disneyland Paris, when it originally opened and we lost Disney's America and Port Disney as options, I just think it's cool that some of the original idea survives into every iteration. And what we eventually get might not be what we wanted. Depends on what your dreams and wishes
we
are,
were promised
or what
before.
you're expecting. But it might still be good.
It might still be good, yeah. And I don't know. Sometimes the timing is everything. It didn't work in 91 to 95, but after that, I mean, it something happened. Things got shuffled around. Lobbying worked. Who knows?
This
one I never heard of either.
Yeah, this is one that I had to look up.
Arizona.
This is one that I had to look up. So, Decades Music Theme Park, and I have, I think, one piece of concept art and one really weird graphic.
That's concept art?
This is concept art.
From... Oh, I see. I read 1950s. I thought this was really old.
Decades.
90s.
So it's a theme park that was originally purported. So this was going to be in Arizona, right?
Okay, this was a mid 2000s kind of thing.
$800 million potentially invested in this theme park, which was going to license a lot of music and a lot of music icons and their likenesses to basically.
That's expensive.
Yeah, this $800 million is a significant sum of money. It's more than most theme parks started with.
I wonder which musical artists decided to license their likeness.
Well, they didn't. I don't think they got that far.
Maybe they didn't.
So
I wonder who would have.
I'll show you kind of the thought board that they put together on the next slide, and then you'll kind of see where they were at when everything fell apart. But obviously, licensing was a huge part of this park. So I agree with Tim. A music theme park could genuinely take off. I think that if anything, Rip Ride Rocket has shown us that music-based attractions can work.
More coasters need music.
100%, but original music would be preferred.
That's true.
Decades Theme Park was meant to be a music-themed park in Arizona that was going to basically build theme lands around each decade of music. So what you're seeing here is like the 70s area as concepted. It's a messy kind of collage, but you kind of get the idea where they were headed with it.
I would go here.
Yeah.
I like the vibe.
You went to Hippie Fest.
I went to Hippie Fest. This looks like Hippie Fest Plus.
This is Woodstock the theme park. And on their thought board, which this is literally all it ever was, right? This isn't a map as I see it or envision it.
Were they going to build a Rushmore of music?
They were.
Okay,
they were going to try to do a lot.
Elvis, but is that Buddy Holly? The
concept,
John Lennon, and I have no idea who that is.
Wasn't bad, honestly. Looking at what they were doing,
you could have put a lady up there on Mount Rushmore. It's not like we've never had a lady music icon.
Oh my gosh, Siren's Curse is so good.
Siren's Curse is
awesome.
With the music.
This theme park would have struggled regardless of when it was built.
Okay, well,
like if this was built today on an infinite amount of money, that would still have struggled.
Okay, an AC/DC themed coaster, Thunderstruck, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but music it's hard to know what's going to be relevant at the time.
Well, you
So, like,
also, not to be too real, but sometimes you find out that people aren't as great as you think they are, and then when you got a whole theme park section dedicated to music star that reputation is now in the tank, that you might suffer.
honestly, that can happen with any celebrity. Like,
Yeah,
that
but
doesn't
that's what
have to
I'm
be
saying. Like,
music-based, but
if you build attractions around real people, and those real people don't turn out to be heroes,
that was the weakness of the thought board for
That's
me.
the
Like,
problem.
looking at what
You
was
know.
originally designed and how they
If
originally
someone
planned it.
turns
like,
out to be a criminal, you don't want their name on your ride.
this was going to be a tough thing to sustain.
But-
And even if every human being associated with the project had turned out to be an absolute gem, which off the top of my head, I can't name anything nebulous about any of the things that are listed here, but I didn't look at it that carefully, so don't come for me. I do feel like you still have to up the licensing fees every single year.
yeah,
Like, this
yeah.
whole park revolves around licenses
And
rather
can't-
than owned property.
And I can imagine the music. What's it called? Who owns the music? The
record companies?
record companies. I can imagine record companies some years being just like, oh, we're gonna double it
Yeah.
because it's Tuesday.
We don't know what we don't know, not having been associated with this project, but in my mind, when you license music for a park like this, you're really investing in something that could totally bomb and you don't want to do it long term. So they probably would have negotiated, I don't think they actually got to this phase, but let's just speak hypothetically. They probably would have negotiated something like a 2 to 3 year license of any given song.
Yeah.
After those 2 to 3 years, if the park had survived long enough to see that point, they would have surely upped the cost to renew that license.
Yeah, it would
And
have just
every year it
spiraled.
gets more and more expensive.
And you'd have to make sure you're making that money back on attendance and merchandise and all that stuff.
Luckily, we have Rascal Flatts at Cars Land and DCA.
It's true. It's
We
true.
don't even need the Decades Park for that. Anyway, it weirdly wasn't licensing that caused this to fall apart. This was also a casualty of the 2008 financial crisis.
Oh.
Arizona lawmakers actually approved a special taxing district specifically to help finance this effort, and the original plan was to open in 2012. So they were 4 years off from their goal when everything fell apart and the wheels came off.
Oh, it says PBS covered it at the time as a serious development and not just a speculative pitch.
It could be said that anytime a new theme park is announced, we are at this point in the news cycle covering it as a serious story and not a speculative pitch, which, as you're hopefully seeing by this point in the dialogue, is maybe not the best way to go about it. Because there's a huge difference between blue sky, which is what we call concepting, and you put pen to paper and start doodling, and you're like, this is what we have in mind, and this is how we're going to finance it, and actually financing it, which is probably the most important step of any given construction project. Now,
No.
I know, the icing on the cake for this one is one that we personally, this one broke our hearts. This is what we personally were most excited about, and this project is officially dead. The London Resort, which eventually became Paramount Park London, which eventually became nothing. The concept art, clearly done by the same artist who designed concepts for Epic Universe. Clearly. I mean, I'm not even, the colors are identical, the layout is very similar. The concept art purported this to be a London-focused park. Initially, it wasn't going to be big on IPs. Slowly but steadily, the IPs crept in, and ultimately, in order to retain the licensing for those IPs, Paramount basically took over the project, and it became a Paramount park in development. Both in its original format and in its developed format at Paramount, I think it would have been a successful park if they had actually been able to break ground. Now, Paramount still would have struggled with its current position in the news cycle, but this park would have been awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
they did a lot of concepting based on things like Ghostbusters, some of the Universal properties that the Universal basically gave up the license for, or doesn't own a license for, or didn't at the time own a license for overseas.
Yeah, and that's totally different. Like theme park
Yeah.
licensing is very, very different.
And it's
than-
region specific.
Yeah.
That's
so-
why we can have the Avengers at Disney California Adventure, and we can never have select Avengers, the main roster of Avengers in Orlando,
Florida.
because
Yeah.
Universal still owns that license.
I don't believe that was the castle. I think Tim's talking about the castle
Yeah, I'll go
down in the
back.
corner. I don't think that's
It's-
meant to be Hogwarts. It
It was meant to be like a British castle.
actually
like
a castle,
yeah.
like historically.
So originally, within the London Resort, there were going to be themed lands. As originally pitched, it was going to be a medieval London area. It was going to be a modern London area. It was going to be a super spy-esque, futuristic London area. And it was going to be like the grassy plains of London area. Like everything was going to be zoned, and there were going to be rides and themes for every area.
It was cool. We were excited because originally it wasn't owned by one of the big theme park makers,
Then
Disney
the IPs
Universal.
started creeping
but then
in.
and then Paramount creeped in, and we were like, well, if it saves the project,
It
let's
started,
go.
so the first IP to be associated with the project was James Bond. And James Bond, as you might know or might not know, is not currently owned by Paramount. So that's not where it started to become problematic. Paramount effectively bought out the original owners, or bought into the process is probably a better way of putting it. They kind of took over majority shares in the project when they started licensing IPs like, is Paddington a Paramount? I don't think Paddington's a Paramount. I know that there were Paramount licenses that were sold. I just can't off the top of my head
Yeah.
remember what they were.
I mean, I would have liked to have seen like BBC related IP, like Doctor Who, like a Doctor Who area. That would have been awesome. And imagine like they could have like multiple doctors, or like a different doctor represented depending on the day. I think that would have been awesome.
Paddington is a Paramount property. So Paddington would have been one of the early IPs that were adopted.
Oh yeah, don't
Yes.
we have a picture with Paddington in it?
I have a picture. Yes, Paddington is
Yeah,
in
there's
fact in it. It's
Paddington.
just a weirdly sized Paddington.
Aw. I mean,
Paddington's Grand Adventures was going to be the anchor attraction of this
I
area.
think they'd have to go with the person in a suit Paddington and not a robot animatronic
Yeah,
Paddington.
the Olaf looks so cute though.
Yeah, well,
Haven't seen
Paddington.
Hong Kong.
I think the Paddington stage show has a really good puppet, which is adorable.
I think we should be using more puppets in theme parks.
I think so,
personally.
too.
I think they're cool.
I think so too.
Anyway, this one was heartbreaking because we actually watched the development of this project. When it was originally announced, we thought we were going to be
We were
planning a
like-
trip to the UK.
We were
to
like,
do
we
it.
should go for the opening. It would be so fun.
And we had started putting money away for it, like no lie. Like this was something that we were like, we're probably never going to be able to experience something like this in our
And
lifetime.
this was before Epic Universe.
This was well before Epic Universe
was
was announced, or perhaps even developed. I don't know how early the development process started.
But I remember we remember looking at like the first concept arts for Epic Universe, and we are like, that looks a lot like the London Resort. Not saying that we're not saying anything was copied or anything like that. I think that's also just. I think there's a lot of similarities in the concept art for even some of the Disney stuff. Kind of when it's mentioned at D23 starts to all look the same to me.
When
They use the
this
same color
project
palette.
fell through, we were like, ugh, all that undeveloped land is just going to become the same thing like Oklahoma, and it's just wind up being apartment complexes and entertainment. If we're lucky, more than likely it's going to be like a shopping district, and it's going to be restaurants and J. Crew, like, or the European equivalent. But,
H&M.
but in reality, Universal would come and answer the need or the desire for this park by launching a bid for Universal Great Britain. Now, I wasn't sure whether this was the same land that Universal was looking at when they originally announced plans to build in the UK. It's not. So this land is still sitting empty, and it still could become developed land, gentrified with shopping centers and
But it probably
malls
won't
aren't
be
really
a
a thing
theme
anymore,
park,
but, like-
especially if this Universal Great Britain actually happens. Because
I
we're
think-
not sure about that either.
I'm more confident about Universal Great Britain than I think I've been about most theme parks that have been announced.
Unfortunately, it's a lot of times these, for lack of a better word, independent, not industry giant with their reputation and name trying to do something.
Universal
Which I would love to see more of those come to fruition, because as much as I love Disney and Universal, I get a little tired of seeing the same stuff.
I think
I
the
feel-
plan for Universal, we're getting a little bit off topic, but I think the plan for Universal Great Britain is to lean more on some of the IPs that haven't been used as much. There will still, of course,
There's
be
being a Wizarding
Jurassic Park,
World.
Harry Potter, all the things that you expect to see in a Universal Park. Minions, I'm sure, will creep in. But there will also be things
Can
that
we
we
not?
haven't seen
Can
before.
we please not with the Minions?
We've been a little
We're a little,
minion tired.
yeah.
There's
How
got to
about-
be a better way
How
to
about
phrase
we
that.
build Far, Far Away?
They kind of did. They gave you a little kiddie land with the swamp. We just haven't been to
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry. Shrek is not a kid's movie. I was a kid when it came out. We were both kids. I saw it as a kid. I loved it. It's not a kid's movie. It's a movie for adults to laugh at, and it's a romance.
But it was marketed to kids.
Maybe. But it's not a kid's movie. Let's be real. Maybe the
Paddington
other
is-
ones are, but Shrek 1 is not.
Paddington was actually supposed to have quite a significant role
Oh,
in the park.
it's his
You're gonna have
tree
Paddington in
house.
Peru's treehouse.
Paddington's
This is the last bit of
aunt
concept
and
art I
uncle or
have.
whatever. I can't remember. That's cute.
Oh, it's too sad, man.
Oh man,
You
I
could
do love Land Before Time.
you could like
though.
play on the bones of like a long neck
What?
while Littlefoot stands in the corner with a shocked face.
What? No! What's wrong with you?
It's the Land Before Time kids area.
That's not. No.
I'm sorry. I'm really twisted today. I agree. It's
Play
not
on
cool.
the bones of a long
It's not
neck.
cool.
I'm
It's
sorry.
not
Were
cool.
you not traumatized by Littlefoot's mom dying in the
I
first
am not a
movie?
Don Bluth fan, man. Like, I watched Land Before Time and Troll in Central Park and All Dogs Go to Heaven and all the same movies you did, and I hated every single
Well,
one
they
of them.
are sad. But
I
like,
liked the Land Before Time movies that moved beyond Don Bluth's animation style or art style, I guess it's
I
called.
mean,
Like
the first
ones-
one is the most beautifully animated, though.
Talk to me about the Land Before Time Big Water or The Secret of Source Rock. I'm all in, but not
I
so
do
much
like.
the OG.
I did like the straight to video ones as well.
Don Bluth's art style is just nightmare fuel to me. Anywho, not that that has anything
Wow,
even
that was
remotely to do
definitely-
with anything we're talking about.
Thank you, Tim, for that
Thank you, Tim,
diversion.
for driving us down the weirdest rabbit hole. All right, let's wrap it up. So, going back to Dracula Land, we've talked a lot about 10, I believe, different theme parks that never actually made it to open. Some of them made it to groundbreaking, some of them died in concept, and some of them became something radically different. Anything, any one of those things or anything else could happen to Dracula Land along the way. This is being marketed right now as a sure thing. Romania is investing billions of dollars in the development of this land, but they have publicly stated that they are currently seeking investors, which means they do not have the money that is required to actually build this park. Now, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying that it won't eventually come to be what is being announced right now or purported. I am telling you very definitively there is absolutely no way it's going to open in 2027.
Yeah.
For something of this scale to be built, they would have needed to start, and then open in 2027, they would have needed to start 3 years ago. I don't think it's going to happen in 2028 because they don't even have the money lined up yet. What is most likely to happen, in my personal opinion, which is subjective and my own, is that it's not going to happen at all and
The project dies.
the project dies, and the people who are working on it go to work for one of the big giants like Disney or Universal and take some of the elements that would have been really cool to see in Romania and put them to use at Universal Great Britain or Disney Dubai or wherever else they decide to build. Unfortunately, I think that's the most likely thing at this stage. But what could also happen is that they find their investors, they scale things back a little bit and plan more realistic attractions and maybe look at minimizing the initial wave and building more over time. And it could be something really cool does happen, but it is not what's originally concepted. At least not on this scale. It might eventually grow into something this cool, but right now the closest you're ever going to get to something like this is going to Universal's Epic Universe and visiting Darkmoor. This is basically that.
Yeah.
Just not Dracula specific.
Frankenstein.
I think that,
Or Victor Frankenstein.
I mean, just to compare, it took Epic Universe 6 years to build between announcement and opening of the gates. So something like this being announced before it's even been financed, it's very, very unlikely to actually make it all the way to gate open. And again, the timetable is the thing I have the most trouble swallowing. The fact that they announced it in 2026 and said sometime in 2027 this is going to open. Yeah, around the same time pigs start flying and Hell freezes over is when that will open.
And what I was going to say, which I alluded to earlier but then decided to save it for this moment, is we're not trying to be
Dream
Debbie
crushers.
Downers and dream crashers about this. Like, just, like, the concept art is fantastic, and should this place exist, you bet we would add it to our bucket list of theme parks. It looks awesome. And why not have a Dracula-themed destination in Romania? That's cool. It would help with immersion, because sometimes you are, like, walking through the Florida heat, and you're like, I don't feel like I'm on the streets of London right now.
And the last thing I want to see is a windmill on fire, because that's going to be hotter even than I
Yeah.
already am.
But to be like already in the setting and whatnot, and you know, the people already speaking the language or have it would feel awesome. So I don't want to make it sound like we're just like a bunch of Debbie Downers. I guess we've been burned before. We've seen other great concepts not be able to take off, and I think we're especially still kind of sore from the London resort falling through.
They haven't even bought the ground yet.
Yeah.
As far as I know, like they have a piece of land in mind, but I don't think
Yeah.
they even own all of the land that they had originally prospected.
Either I also don't want to see is, you know, there's a very famous like Willy Wonka pop-up that apparently used like AI to promote a bunch of its attractions and stuff, and then people showed up and it's like black curtains, and it's worse than like even like a home haunter's like honest effort, and people paid money. So I don't want them to be like, this is I don't want it to be like Pinterest real life and have it open and
We
be
get Temu
total,
Dracula Land.
yeah, like Temu Dracula Land. I don't want that to happen either. Be like, it should rather die. So hopefully it finds the investors, they're able to break ground, and you know, it would be fun to watch it being built. We all, or some of us specifically, watched Epic Universe being built from the ground up. We followed Theme Park Stops every update.
Bio reconstructs aerial overviews of construction in progress.
It would be cool to watch that happen again and see it come to fruition, and we definitely hope it does. I guess we're just not holding our breath for it.
We're definitely not a safe space for AI art if you haven't picked that up already. So AI concepting it's very...
I don't think this is AI though. I think someone drew that or built it in a computer or something.
Some of it may have been AI generated. I think the plans as they've been forecasted are too big, because your computer does not know the difference between an open canvas where anything is possible and what finances you actually have available to you. So it's easy to blue sky something, whether it be AI or a human artist. It's very difficult to actually bring something of this scale to fruition.
If you don't have the money, for certain.
Even if you do have the money, it's still a huge undertaking. Like, I believe that on the back of Epic Universe and the financial success that Universal has had there, and the new park that's been opened, which you can like or dislike the way they went with the Universal Kids Resort in Texas. There's a lot of controversy around how it was built, the lack of theming, the lack of color grading, across the whole park. Like, it's more in line with, I would say, like Legoland New York, which we have visited, than it is like a typical Universal park.
It looks a little bit unfinished, but I also understand that landscaping, you don't plant like
it doesn't
30-foot
overnight.
Tall trees. You plant saplings that grow. So
well, here's the point that I was trying to get to, though. Regardless of what we think of it, that park will ultimately be successful because the target demographic is right there. Like, kids are very excited about the park. They don't know any better. They don't know that Universal parks are typically supposed to be these big immersive spaces.
They're not going to be like, there's supposed to be a big purple stripe there, and there's not.
They just see Minions, and they're like, Mom, I want to go.
Yeah.
So the financial future of Universal looks pretty good, and I'm pretty comfortable thinking that the Universal Great Britain Park, now that it has been approved and ground has been broken, there are no real financial barriers that are going to slow it. I think that park will be built. I don't know that it's going to be as extravagant.
Just summon the worst financial crisis in Great Britain.
It could happen. It could always happen. But as of now, I think that park is going to be built. This park that we're talking about with Dracula Land, this is much less stable as a concept and as an actual plan. And it's not fully fleshed out to the point that Universal's plans have been fleshed out. They do not have the money. They do not have the resources. I'm not even 100% sure they have the land. They might. I could be wrong about that. I haven't been as in tune with this one because I started to see red flags immediately and therefore haven't delved into the details quite as closely as I did on Epic Universe. But as of now, this is just my estimation. And as Katie said, we're not here to kill dreams. We're actually very positive people, if you've never met us before. But we do want to set realistic expectations because a lot of people are really excited about this park. And I do hope that something like it gets built. I don't think it'll be this. And I don't want y'all to be disappointed when this dream is not realized. So it's important, I think, to temper expectations every once in a while so that we do have something to be excited about on the other side. For me, I'm glad that Universal Great Britain is moving forward. I think that's going to be really cool, and I think it's going to have a lot of the theming elements that Universal Kids doesn't. I think that a lot of the theme park projects that are actively in development in Europe are going to be very cool. It's supposed to be specifically Dracula, but I'm sure if they got the licenses to other monsters, like classic monsters like Dracula, they would wind up bringing those in too. It's not supposed to be Universal's
I was going to say, I don't think it's Universal.
It's the Romanian Dracula. So if there was lore, I'm sure they would bring in other monsters.
It's the Bram Stoker free to license Dracula.
We'll be watching this one closely. It's not like we're completely giving up on it. If we see some positive signs, we will share them on our socials, and maybe you guys can follow this one along with us. This is just where we're sitting right now.
Who knows? Maybe in 5 years, we'll be eating crow. Who knows?
This is one thing I would be glad to be wrong about.
Yeah,
but
that'd be awesome.
I don't think I'm going to be. As we head into the spooky season, y'all, our creator spotlight tonight is our friend John over at the Haunt Informer. Haunt Informer on most of the socials, _ is necessary to find him on Instagram, but he covers just about everything spooky, from all of the haunts that we visit, all of the haunts we've ever visited, probably all the haunts we ever will visit.
Yeah, he's
in addition to props, masks, Spirit Halloween, just about everything under the sun that could possibly be associated with Halloween, John has covered or will cover. And he is actually, at this point, I think surpassed us on YouTube by quite a wide margin.
Yeah,
so
congrats, John.
We're proud of him, and we want to shout him out.
He's been doing the work.
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter/X. It'll always be Twitter to me. And YouTube, I believe, is his primary. But you can follow him on all the things. And he's a great
guy. Always so
He's
pleasant.
a great guy.
Very genuine.
And if you ever meet him in public, be sure to say hi because he loves talking with his fans.
Yeah.
Our next live stream will be in November because it is time for our seasonal hiatus. I am sorry that we have been slow to get content out. There is content in edit, many pieces of content in edit right now. We have been a little bit better about getting things out on Instagram. Short form content that's been in hold or in the can for years is starting to leak out slowly now. The vlog content will pick up significantly when we get into spooky season. It's just been a little bit tougher to get some of the stuff out from our recent travel because a couple things. Most frequently it's because the footage isn't as awesome as what we saw with our eyes and I get perfectionistic about it. But also, like, work has been difficult and we've not had as much time. So it's coming. Thank you guys for putting up with the delay. And thank you all, anyone who tuned into our live stream tonight. You know, we always appreciate a chance to chat with you guys directly. It's going to be a couple months before we sit down and chat with you again, but we're looking forward to it. In the meantime, we've got lots and lots and lots of spooky things to do.
And Shrek.
And Shrek. A little bit of Shrek for every bit of spooky.
Always sprinkle a little bit of Shrek in your day.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are going to go ahead and close it out. So until next time, I've been Tim.
I'm Katie.
And every night
is a new adventure.
And hopefully the next time we come to you, we'll have some sort of season 5 graphic. Hopefully.